Hi, thank you. It's funny because it's true. All my questions have been answered, which is interesting. And every question this morning has helped me get more clear on what it is I wanted to ask.
It's co-creation at its best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew I had a question.
That's sort of like we've all been in this pipeline together. And we know this and we know this and we know this, and now we're ready for this. And you might think that this is funner than this, but it isn't. Because it's all relational, isn't it? It's all relative. Because when you didn't know this, it was exciting to come from this to this. And now you're over here, it's exciting to come to this. You with us? So, when it manifests, it's just a little past this. You see what we're getting at? The manifestations aren't the big deal that you make them out to be. They're just the next logical step where you have been. And so if you start really enjoying the journey and really enjoying the evolution of this idea and this thought and this idea, then you are happily ever after. Yeah.
So all the conversation today has kind of helped me get more clear on. I had this feeling that I wanted to ask the question, and before I woke up this morning I had this dream that Esther was for some reason packing up the garbage in the room at the end of the session. And I was
that was last night.
And we had a little interaction. I said, "Oh, you're multitasking this morning." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I take pleasure in all of it." I was like, "Great."
And she does. And she does.
And she gave me these little words of wisdom. It's all going to be all right was the feeling. I can't remember verbatim what it was, but I woke up feeling it's all going to be okay.
What she said to you in your dream, that you interpreted as all going to be all right, is everything is always working out for you. But from your place of not being sure of that, your interpretation of what she said was, it's all going to be all right, which sounds like it's almost the same thing, but it's not quite the same thing. It's all going to be all right puts the emphasis on what's not all right, doesn't it? Everything's always working out for you. It's slightly different. Yeah. Everything's always working out for you. Everything's always working out for you. Everything's always working out for you. So Esther is on her way here. And she gets a text that lets her know the wonderful guy who drives the truck from venue to venue, he takes it to the next airport and parks it, and then he goes back and lives his life until it's time, and then he flies in and brings it to the hotel. Brilliant plan. And when he went to get the truck wouldn't start. Now, it's a lovely truck, it's been really dependable, but the truck won't start, and it's got all the equipment in it. But everything's always working out for me. Really? My truck didn't start. Well, step back just a little bit. There's this very capable person with the truck, and so there are situations that are at your fingertips. First of all, there is a place to rent a moving truck really close to there. And some of the others were still flying in and were at the airport. So it was not terribly uncomfortable to go to the truck that won't start, move the contents from it into a truck that would start, and bring them to the hotel. Because everything's always working out for you. You see what we're getting at? And now there is a Mercedes dealer not far away who they will tow the van to, and they will fix the van, because everything's always working out. Everything's always working out. But isn't it fun how things are always working out? And do you really want everything to already be worked out? Do you want everything to already be worked out? You don't. You like working them out. Esther felt so alive. Ooh, something new to think about. Should we tow the van? No, don't tow the van. There's stuff in the van. Leave the van right where it is. Take the stuff and come to the hotel. We'll deal with the van later. Fun to have these thoughts hatch. What's the best idea? Because everything's always working out for you. So the question is, do you want everything to be worked out for you, or do you want to be in the process of being part of what works things out? Are you a creator, or are you an observer of creation? You're a creator. And the fun is in the mixing it up, yes? Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yep. Don't want to beat the drum of the crap that happened in the last year. And I guess the question that it came to was, married the girl of my dreams. I loved her to the end of the earth, and 10 months after getting married, it was over. Sorry to get upset. And a part of me was, okay.
Stop just for a moment. So it was over. Is the dream over, or just that iteration of it?
Well, and this is where I wonder, am I deluded?
Is the dream bigger? What seemed like the ending of it, did it add more to the dream? Did it bring you more clarity?
Well, so this is my question.
Wait, you've got to answer our question first.
Sorry.
Did it bring you more clarity?
It did.
And is clarity in the least bit interesting to you?
So this is where my natural Irish cynicism and skepticism comes in. Are we just making the best of a crap situation, or does it wake you up to what you needed to be woken up to?
Well, here's the answer. You got to make the best of a crap situation in order to receive the benefit from the crap. And since everything is always working out for you, there must be benefit in crap. There's benefit in contrast. There is benefit in the contrast. There are things that you now know about yourself that you did not know before. And there are things that you want in a relationship that you were not that clear about before. And to call that relationship over, it may or may not be. We're not casting a determination about that. But from that, this is what we were talking about earlier, from a manifestation that produces more contrast, there is more potential for more benefit and life right within that. Hear this. If this time-space reality has the wherewithal, has the components to produce a desire within you, then this time-space reality has the ability to deliver the goods. If you can want it, you can have it. If this relationship has the ability to cause you to want something more, this relationship has the ability to deliver the goods. But what happens is people are so ready to pronounce it over because they've forgotten about all of this, and they aren't remembering that everything is evolving, and if it isn't, it's dying. You're always moving forward. It's always motion forward. So now, what do you think?
It's what I knew to be true, I guess. I was reflecting a little bit on how I came to be here. And
do you think that you are someone who has been appreciating manifestations a lot?
Yeah.
And do you think that you've been, like so many people, a little heavier on being excited about the manifestation than you were on the evolution of it on its way to manifestation?
I'm learning to be easy with that.
And today, do you have more awareness than ever that the process is something to savor as well as the manifestation?
Yeah. It's being in the now part, right? It's the being happy with the now.
What it really is not being so hooked on the manifestation. But here's where it gets a little dicey for you. And perhaps if we ramble just a little bit right here, we can fill in some pieces for all of you, because this is the way it's looking to you right now. All right, Abraham, I wanted something and I thought I had it, and I liked what I thought I had, and then it went away, or then it didn't turn out to be what I thought that it was. And I liked it when the condition was pleasing, I liked it. But when the condition isn't pleasing, now I don't like it. And so I just feel this urgency to make the condition the way it was when I liked it. But I'm powerless to do that. I can't make the condition the way it was when I liked it. Well, that's what we were talking about. But most people, that's what they're trying to do. Trying to get the condition to be pleasing. And we want you to figure out how to be pleased apart from the condition. That's what unconditional is. Find a way to be pleased on your way to something, not need to be all the way there in order to be pleased. The wonderful thing is, once you have an experience that really matters to you and you figure this out, then you're home free forevermore on everything else. Because most people will tell you a story like this. Yeah, you're born, you sort of get more and more and more and more and more, and then you get about here and you peak out, and then it's decline all the rest of the time. That's the way most people think their lives are. And it isn't that way. It's a constant evolution and expansion and becoming more. And so something that feels like it ended terribly, or it ended wrongly, or it ended in a painful way, first of all, it hasn't ended, because in its finishing itself out as that creation, it gave birth to more that you now have access to. And if we could get you if we could just snap Esther's fingers and get you hooked on this rather than hooked on this, then this would just keep coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. We're not trying to distract you or guide you away from manifestations. We want you to have as many manifestations as you can cram into a day. And you're pretty good at cramming lots of wonderful manifestations into a day. We're not trying to just get up in the clouds and get all airy-fairy and just think pleasant thoughts and just sit around and meditate. That's not what this conversation is about. This conversation is about thinking about things that you want and getting juice and energy and enlivenment and alignment from these ideas, because thoughts are turning to things. And then enjoy this manifestation and this one and this one and this is in the pipeline and this is in the pipeline and this manifestation, this is in the pipeline, this is in the pipeline. So that the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets. So step 1 is, contrast causes you to ask. Step 2 is, it is answered by the vortex, which you don't like very much because you can't see it. Step 3 is, you get into the receptive mode so that you can receive what's in the vortex. Step 4 is, you get really good at that. You become a master of it. Weird that step 4 is just really good at step 3, but that's what we've decided to do. Step 4 is just being really good at step 3, maintaining your alignment anyway. And then step 5 is stepping back into contrast and not being upset about it. But the only way you can do that is by understanding how it works. Sometimes people, they want us to be like a crystal ball. They want us to say, well, it's not really over and it's going to get a lot better and it'll come back. And they want us to be the manifestation that they need to see in order to feel better. But we don't want to use these words to be the manifestation that you want to observe in order to feel better. We want you to figure out how to feel better anyway. Because when you feel better anyway, now you're unconditional. And when you're unconditional, you are truly free of circumstances. And isn't that where we began here today? What puts the drag in the new creation? What is? What is isn't what you think what is is. What is isn't anymore. What is old news. What is manifestation. But what is isn't where your energy is. It isn't where your attention is. Well, it can be, but you're amending it and making it more. Nothing stands still. Nothing stands still. So you could look at that and you could say, it's not standing still, it's becoming more. It's not finished, it's not ended, it's becoming more. And feel the difference in that. The life-giving properties of that, you see. So?
It's reminding me of, I was telling my parents that I came across this thing, Abraham-Hicks. Might be a bit weird, but just like, have a listen.
Yeah, the man calls his wife Abraham.
And I was like, all right, Craig, this is what happens. You've had a bit of a life moment, and now you're a lunatic, and you're listening to whatever. But listen to it more and more, and I was like, yep, get it, yep, it's all sounding pretty good. And my dad got excited by it. My dad listens to 10% of what you say, and then he goes off into his own little kind of tangent of happy thoughts. And I knew he went running to my uncle, who was an engineer, and yet in his life would always go to the different, would always go to the pure positive stuff. And that's how I always knew my Uncle Aidan as a child, was he was just that pure positive energy. So everybody I went home at Christmas and like, right, don't mention the war, he's had a rough year, we'll just avoid it. And of course, that elephant was just marching through the room. So 5 minutes before my uncle leaves the room, I wanted to have a chat with him. I wanted to let him know that I'm good, I'm all right, and whatever. I said, I was in Phoenix just before coming home for Christmas. Went to see this thing I've gotten into. It's really good. Yeah, your dad told me about that. Not everything in life is positive, Craig. Not everything in life is positive. And I think he got afraid that maybe I was going to be like, oh, la, 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 la. And as to what you were saying earlier, that
Thank
it's a
goodness
mix.
not everything in life is positive, because if there were not contrast, there could be no evolution. He's right. Not everything is. Not everything is, because out of what you don't want is born what you do want. But then you want to have the ability, and it sounds like he knows this, to as soon as he can turn his attention toward what is wanted. Yes?
Yep. And he said to me, and it was the nicest thing I heard in a while. He just gave me a hug, goodbye, Happy New Year. And he said, and he's an electrical engineer, he's like, remember, Craig, it takes a negative ion and a positive ion to turn a light on.
And so he said to you what we've been talking about all day here. Yes.